Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good afternoon everybody, good evening. It's Monday. I hope everybody had a really good weekend. It was a long one for me, and obviously if you guys are in the Northwest, you're getting some heat, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty common around the United States right now. So anyway, let's get started. There's an article out tonight that says Parliamentary Finance. This is how Parliament will approve the budget schedules in a single session. And so obviously that'll be to be determined. But it says the Parliament Finance Committee has settled the controversy over the possibility of passing the budget tables if they are sent by the government. Well, they're talking about the 2023-2024 budget, and we all know that they have to be have a final reconciliation on them and to be exposed prior to the Parliament getting those budget tables. And so, but the good thing is if they get those tables, obviously they're suggesting that the tables will be realistic, and the House of Representatives will automatically proceed to ratify them. I would imagine that every single person in Parliament, if they are going to get purchasing power just like everybody else, they're probably going to have a quorum and probably show up. However, that could change. But it says, if the government sends the budget tables, quorum can be ensured in the House of Representatives session and will be approved in the form of a parliamentary decision in just one session. And so that's what they say. But also they give a qualifier if in fact that there are blocs that want to obstruct the Parliament by boycotting sessions and disrupting the quorum in order to impose their own will on the government, it will be difficult to ratify the budget tables. Nothing new there, but the bottom line is in fact if they do get them and you have a relationship between all sides to do the right thing for once, they could get it done in one session. So we'll have to wait and see. This article here is another article about Kurdistan Regional Government's failure to comply with judicial decisions allows Baghdad to take action. So ultimately, this is going to be, it's on the Kurds to do the right thing. The court has basically ruled on that more than once. Taif Sami and al-Sudani were giving grace today. They dismissed the cases against them, which I had a good strong feeling, I think we talked about that they probably would do that because the court ruled on it before. So this former MP, Ghalib Mohammed, he confirms Monday that the regional government's failure to comply with the federal court's ruling will allow the government in Baghdad to take the necessary action against the regional government. So it says, quote, the federal court had previously decided to deposit the salaries of the Kurdistan region employees in banks affiliated with the Central Bank of Iraq, with salaries being paid directly to employees. The court obligated the federal government to take necessary measures if the Kurdistan region fails to comply with its decisions. So the federal court is giving al-Sudani free rein if they don't comply. He says take the necessary measures if the region fails to comply with its decisions. That's a pretty big statement. The federal court's decision obligates the federal government to take whatever measures it deems appropriate in the event that the regional government fails to comply with the court orders, provided that the government takes its action without referring to the regional representative office. Interesting way of putting it. So in other words, the court says do it whether they like it or not. So we'll see. The government complied with the federal court's decision, so that's the federal government, and it exerted pressure on the Kurdistan Regional Government to ensure the distribution of salaries and the delivery of oil and non-oil revenues. So they're getting a mandate, point blank, to do it the right way, play by the rules, and quit playing around. That's what it sounds like. I don't know, to me it's like capitulation time for the Kurds. They probably don't have much choice. They don't really have much political clout anymore since November of 2024. And obviously they got their hands caught in the kitty. I think the Supreme Audit shows that they have been playing games and doing potentially illegal behavior that possibly has consequences for many of the government. And even some of the public is calling them out on it today, specifically the Barzani family. But there again, we'll see how this plays out. Here's one where it says the Parliament's Finance Committee commends the government's role. So Parliament of Finance is on board with the government. It has fulfilled its obligations related to securing the salaries. So the Parliamentary Finance Committee confirms yesterday on Sunday that the government was able to fulfill its obligations related to securing salaries for the employees, retirees, and those covered by the social safety net. It goes on and says that the government was able to fulfill its obligations, which included providing salaries for 4.2 million employees, the salaries of 3 million retirees, in addition to salaries of 2.15 million people covered by social welfare. So that's 9.4, yeah, almost 9.5 million people. That's a lot of salaries, you guys. It says oil revenues generated from exporting 3.4 million barrels per day, even with the decline in oil prices in global markets to $65 a barrel, will be sufficient in addition to non-oil revenues, such as revenues from Communications and Media Commission, the Tax Authority, the Border Ports Authority, as well as the ministry's levies and revenues from profitable companies. All of those things that we've been talking about is coming to fruition. We knew that they were going to have other revenue streams other than oil. Non-oil resources are obviously taking up the slack. It says the Ministry of Planning estimated the need for projects of about 12.5 trillion dinars, and there's also a need for about 12.5 trillion dinars to represent the costs of extracting oil. So, they must have a cost basis for that to equal that. Drop the 3 zeros, that's probably going to be a different number. But we're going to see and apply a real effective exchange rate. Could be significantly different number than that. So anyway, in total, it required for the investment aspect to about 25 trillion dinars. It says that the current funding for the investment aspect is faltering and may result in a launch of necessary projects such as building schools and health centers and completing important hospitals, including 5 in the capital of Baghdad. Remember that the investment side of the budget that is a necessity for the citizens comes out of the tripartite budget in the form of the operational and investment side, because it is specifically for the citizens. Anything addition, new projects, new things, back pay, for instance, to January 2023 for their rights, that's not part of the deal. So that's where Article 12, I'm suspecting, comes into play. And they bring in that they have a cost representation for the extraction of oil, and that has got to have a relationship to Article 12. They don't go in and say that, but that's what that would mean to me. It says the Kurdistan Regional Government is entrusted with 9 trillion dinars annually from oil exports and non-oil revenues. So that's what the Kurdistan share is. And I guess we could probably end up doing the math on that and seeing what we can come up with. The need to implement the agreement between the federal government and the region involved the Supreme Audit Board and accounts and auditing. Right? That's what we've been saying. So here to me it's just more affirmation that we've been showing that the Supreme Audit Board is involved with proper financial allocations in terms of the tripartite budget. We've yet to see any deviation from that. Not at all. And to me, I say well done to Militiaman and Crew and to Patreon and to our Discord members, because everybody has been following along, and that's where the value comes in from MMC. You get quality data, you get good quality news, and you get good quality analysis. I think that's a true story. So anyway, Kurdistan movement expects Baghdad to make a decision on the salaries of the region's employees next week. And so this is a movement out of the Kurdistan region who's talking about this. So it says the Kurdish National Position movement said on Monday that the federal government will likely make a decision on Kurdistan region employee salaries next week, while announcing the region's oil production has reached 125,000 barrels a day. I'm pretty sure those numbers they've changed from 80 to 100 to 125, but I'm pretty sure the number is going to be somewhere closer to significantly more than that. But anyway, the federal government will make a decision regarding the dispatch of the region's employees' salaries for last June next Sunday. So that's in a few days. Well, end of our week. the beginning of their next week. The ball is now in the region's court. It says it must fulfill its constitutional and legal obligations. The resumption of crude oil exports through the Kirkuk Cyan pipeline in Turkey ensures the flow of oil revenues and financial stability. Again, there's a component to what I said earlier, Article 12, because that's part of the Turkey Cyan pipeline. So, fascinating. They're giving us more information, but they're not coming right out and saying that they have done Article 12 publicly yet. It says to me, and it makes sense, but the ball is in the Kurdistan region's court. They need to fulfill their obligations. The federal court dismissed those 2 court cases. Keep that in mind. This is very telling because the Kurds, they don't have a leg to stand on, as far as I can tell. Here's an article that's about transportation, which is just showing that Iraq is still moving forward with all this peripheral data. It says the development path will change the economic map and make Iraq a hub for global trade. So they're reiterating it. The Development Road Project is not just a transit corridor or a transit station, but rather a comprehensive economic development project with strategic dimensions that will change the map of the Iraqi economy, make it a pivotal center in the global trade movement between the East and West. And that was coming from the Ministry of Transport spokesman. And this person, I believe it's her, Al-Safi, it says that the project consists of several key pillars, most notably the Grand Fa port, which will transform into an advanced maritime destination, receiving and handling the largest ships along with the attached economic city, giving Iraq a truly competitive edge in the field of maritime transport and logistics services. It's he, no, I'm sorry, it was a he this time. One of the most prominent elements of the project is that the establishment of an industrial zones, linking them to new infrastructure, in addition to the project's integration with Iraqi ports. It says that these ports will be merely travel gateways, but will constitute transit stations capable of accommodating international air traffic, because they're talking about the Baghdad airport, Najaf, Basra, Mosul, etc. Okay, and they're all going to be in service, as they say, in short order. And it says here to me, it says, well, last part was the Development Road Project is going to provide jobs, and they're talking about hundreds of thousands of jobs, or in one case, 100,000 jobs. But still 100,000 jobs, if they're good quality paying jobs, will support probably anywhere from 5 to 10 times that many extra jobs. That's how it works. So every day there's more and more support that the Development Road Project is and will be a success, and they have clearly shaped everybody's point of view on that. I would assume, because there's no sign of them not doing it. It's just all completely 100% moving forward. So it's really good. And here's an article that's fascinating too, because we've talked about gold, and we've talked about Iraq having a significant amount of foreign reserves, and then now they're talking about the non-oil reserves, which is all of these components support what? A real effective exchange rate. And here in this case, it says Iraq replaces the dollar with gold, a yellow shield against economic storms. Gold's considered a safe haven. Central banks know that, and they're some of the biggest buyers in the world, hands down. And there's no denying that. Iraq is going to be one of them, and has been one of them. It says the economic expert, his name is Kanani, he says that Iraq's position on the Arab country, as the Arab country with the largest gold purchases, represents the strategic shift in the central bank's approach to enhancing the country's financial stability. Iraq's purchase of more than 20 tons of gold in a single year and its rise to 7th place globally in this field reflects a calculated move by the central bank to protect the national economy from fluctuations in foreign currency prices, especially the dollar. Keep in mind, central banks have bought, I think, year on year over 1,000 tons of gold for 3 years running. I don't know that that's been done in a long, long time that I can remember. And I've been around the gold since the 1990s. It says here that the gold is considered one of the safest reserve instruments, as it's not affected by fluctuations in the money market, unlike paper currency. It says This gives Iraq a strategic advantage in confronting sudden crisis and enhances confidence in its financial policies, both domestically and internationally. It says that this trend will positively impact the value of the Iraqi dinar in the medium term. It will also contribute to the stability of the local market and reduce reliance on the dollar, giving the central bank greater flexibility in managing monetary policy and achieving economic stability in light of current regional and global challenges. Look, when banks buy gold, people listen. At least I do. I think a lot of gold people do as well. Because again, when central banks buy gold, the price typically goes up. I think that's the motivating factor for people like us to pay attention to what the central banks are doing. Especially if you're holding gold, or silver, or other precious metals that are used for utility. I don't care if it's silver, palladium, platinum. All of those things have utility, and they're scarce, so they become valuable. So when banks buy gold, people listen. There are some of the largest players in the world in the gold market, and they do that for a good reason. And what do they do it for? Resilience, to protect themselves against the dollar, for instance. The dollar is depreciated probably close to 10% in the last year. So anyway, keep all those things in mind, and keep that in mind for your future, because I think that real assets, and I believe Iraq's currency is going to be a real asset for investors, no different than precious metals and other items, new technology, for instance. All of those things can be should be thought about. Okay. So anyway, I hope you guys like my channel. That's a kind of quick brief that I have for you this evening, and please enjoy. Hit that like button if you like, and subscribe. And again, thank you all for your help and your donations through PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo. And thank you. It really does make a difference for us. It helps me keep everybody going. Appreciate it very much. Have a great day. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.